Hello everybody and welcome to the first official review talk of 2016. Today we're going to be talking about Wave Race 64 on the Wii U, originally for the Nintendo 64. So even though I had an N64 back in the day and plenty of first party titles, Wave Race 64 was one of the ones that I missed out on. I mean, I didn't even know it existed back then, which is a shame because playing it now, it has been a lot of fun. So you take part in a jet ski championship using one of 4 characters available, and you race against the others on the wild sea. Apart from just being as fast as you can around the track, you also need to slalom between some red and yellow buoys. The yellow ones mean that you should pass to the left of the buoy, and the red one means you need to pass to the right of the buoy. Now if you do that correctly, you'll get a power boost. This boost can be increased up to 5 points, but if you fail to do what it says and you miss one of them, then your power drops back to its base level, so you're much slower. While personally I feel this is punishment enough, the game likes to go one further, and if you miss a buoy 5 times in one race, then you get disqualified. I think this is a little harsh because often the buoys are really close together, and if you miss one, if you combine the difficulty of the controls, which I'll get to in a bit, it means that you'll probably end up missing a few, like in just one mistake. The championship mode has varying difficulty levels, but you only start off with the normal, and you unlock each successive difficulty level by completing the one below it. Normal has 6 tracks, hard adds 1 more new track, and expert adds another. So there are 8 tracks in total, which is probably a bit disappointing if you compare it to today's standard, but I think it suits Wave Race pretty well because you really need to learn the tracks perfectly if you want to get anywhere. Did I mention the game is difficult? Because in order to progress through each championship, at the end of each stage you're given a points total requirement, and if you don't have a certain amount of points, then it doesn't let you progress to the next race. You have to start from the beginning. In normal mode you don't really need to worry about that too much, I don't think, but hard, expert and reverse mode, then it's really against you. Coming last, which is certainly possible because there are only 3 other races out there, that can be really disastrous for your chances. Sometimes you're better off just restarting the whole thing. And I'm not even sure how I managed to even unlock reverse mode, to be honest, because expert is really for what it says, experts. What makes the game difficult aside from the harsh requirements is a combination of the controls, which I mentioned, and the water conditions. The controls are a little difficult to explain. I like to think of it as, the analog stick is a representation of the player on the jet ski. It's like you're controlling the person, not the machine. So whichever way you move the stick, the driver will also lean that way. If you want to take a sharp right turn, instead of just pushing right, you should push right and down so your guy leans backwards a little, which makes the turn a lot sharper. Likewise, if a wave is coming at you, normally it will send you uncontrollably in the air. But if you lean forward as it hits, then you'll ride it out. It's pretty difficult to get to grips with, as it's a slightly unconventional control system, and at first you might think they're terrible, but actually there's a lot to it once you learn more about it. As I just mentioned, the water can be pretty crazy sometimes, and a stray, unexpected wave can hit you and completely ruin your race. Learning the courses and knowing where the waves are and when they're going to hit you is really a key to your success. Now, I seem to be complaining about the difficulty a lot, but I don't want you to get me wrong, I absolutely love it. While it does feel overly harsh at sometimes, it's still a joy, and it's brilliant to play even today. The gameplay has aged far better than how it might look to you guys, because the game does look terrible, but it plays great. So there are only 8 courses in total, and you're racing against 3 other people. I think a couple more of each would have been nicer, as I'm worried some of you might feel you're getting a bit shortchanged on this, because there's not a lot of content, but you have to set your mind back to 1996 or whenever this was released. Aside from the championship mode, there's a time trial mode, and even a stunt mode for those who want to rack up points by driving through rings and using tricks that can somewhat be awkwardly inputted. Personally, I was happy to stick with the championship, but I can see some people getting quite a bit of fun out of the stunt mode. If you have a friend, then you can race against each other in a 2-player split screen, which you can really see is pushing the system to the limit with the water effects, but 4 players would have been much cooler and much more interesting, because just only 2 people racing against each other is, it can only hold your attention for so long. Overall, I'm really glad I finally managed to play this N64 Classic. It looks terrible, but it plays brilliantly even now. Maybe it's too frustratingly harsh and difficult for some, but I really enjoyed the challenge. Especially on hard mode. I think expert mode was a little too much for me, but I'd recommend this game to any arcade racer fan. Okay guys, if you've enjoyed this video, then be sure to like and subscribe, it'll really help me out a lot. Don't forget to read the full review of Wave Race 64 at whataboutthegame.com, and keep up to date with me by adding me on Facebook and Twitter. The links are below. Thanks guys, bye bye.